welcome everyone. I'm Jeff Chandler with Nature Forward. I've got a friend here today who I'm going to let introduce himself and just kick it right off with telling us a little bit about what he does as this next installment of our Green Careers Livestream series. So, Kane, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and the work you do.
Hello, friends. It's nice to see you. I'm just so excited to be here. My name is Kane Samuel. I'm an air quality data analyst for Department of Energy and Environment's Air Quality Branch. And we're here at Terrace Education Center, live at a monitoring station.
Yes. Amazing. I've never been before, so this is really exciting for me. I get to learn more about the work that Kane does. And so Kane is one of the environmental professionals we've been talking with through this series to learn about how people all over DC are working to learn more about the environment and our natural resources and to help care for it. And so that's a really important part of what Kane does. So Kane, what's one of your favorite parts about the work you get to do?
I think one of the favorite parts about the work I get to do is that it benefits people like you. So having access to clean air is something that everybody deserves. And I think I enjoy the fact that I play a part in making sure everybody has some clean, breathable air to take in.
Yes, that's so important. Who here enjoys having clean air to breathe? Okay, all right. I see everyone's hands. Yeah, I know I like clean air too. And that's something everyone around DC cares about too. So Kane, I know this is one of multiple sites that you work at. So you can tell us, how many different sites do you work with to monitor the air in DC?
That's a great question. So we have 5 monitoring stations throughout DC. Like Jeff mentioned, this is one of them. This is at River Terrace Education Center. It's in Ward 5 and it's along Benning Road. And it's actually located at a school kind of like yours. And we have 4 other ones. I'm not going to go into the specifics because I'm not the best with geography, but they all measure various pollutants that can have harmful effects on our air quality.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit, for someone like myself who doesn't really know what kind of pollutants might be in the air, what sort of pollutants are you measuring or looking for?
Okay, so we look at this thing called ground level ozone. So it's not to be confused with ozone that's way up in the atmosphere that protects us from sun radiation, but this is ground level. So when you see cars go by and you see like the black smoke come out, when that comes into contact with sunlight, it forms this harsh chemical that can be very, very toxic to our body. So that's one of the things. We look at carbon monoxide, which all comes from fuel emissions from cars and like things from factories and other types of like, stationary sources even.
Okay, got it. And so because this is one of the sites and it's where we are today, can you tell us a little bit about this site and why we selected this to broadcast from today?
So I thought this site would be one of the coolest ones because for one, it's at a school, and 2, it's in a neighborhood similar to the ones that we all live in. And I think what's very interesting about this site is it was brought back 20 years ago because the community decided, hey, we want some clean air to breathe. So they petitioned government to get a monitoring station, and that's how this one was built. So I thought it was like the best choice because it goes to show when people band together and request things, the government meets their needs.
Yeah, that's so important. That's good to hear too.
Yeah.
People, government working together. Speaking of working with people, as you travel around and measure air quality, tell us about some of the people that you work with, or some of the people. I imagine it's more than just you. That's a lot of work for one person. So how is this sort of something that the community is involved in?
Okay, so it's just not just me. I work in a very, very well put together team with some of my coworkers at my job, but I also work with people like Jeff, people in the community, whether it be like your local government officials, whether it be your teachers, whether it even be your parents. And I work with them to teach them about air quality in ways that they can help, create better environments for themselves and for people like you.
Yeah, it sounds like you know a lot about this. And I'm imagining when you started out, you didn't know quite as much as you know now. So I'm going to take you sort of way back to when you were first growing up and in school. And what were some things that you were interested in? So maybe hobbies or classes or things that you see now maybe started your journey in this direction that some of the students tuning in might be able to relate with.
Well, one of the things I was always interested in was science, of course. I like playing outside, playing with bugs, like looking up at the sky and clouds. So I kind of forwarded my interest in this. And I had really awesome teachers that encouraged me to do so. And that led me onto this path that I am in now.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. Who here has someone in their life who inspires them and encourages them and is looking out for them? I know I did. Yeah. Yeah, that's good to see. All right, I see a lot of hands. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. All right, so I do want to see if we've got any questions from our group, and we can always come back. I've got lots of questions, but I want to see. Oh, actually, maybe before we turn to their questions, we want to show them a little bit about what's in the building.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so get your questions ready. Be thinking about questions you might already have. We're going to give you a little tour inside, and then we'll come back and be ready with your questions. All right. Okay. Here, let me bring this with me. And we're going to have to speak nice and loud so you can hear us. It gets a little noisy in there. So if you can't hear us, just unmute and let us know, okay?
Okay, so like Jeff mentioned, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it to this location is because you'll get the opportunity to see an actual monitoring site. So you'll get to see some of the instruments that collect the data that we use every day. So let's come into the trailer. I'm gonna try to speak a little loudly because it can be a little noisy in here, but just let me know. So this is one of our monitoring stations in DC. So some of those instruments I was telling you about that measures like some of the like pollutants that come out of cars and like, you know, other buildings, they're right here. So this is an ozone analyzer. What it does is it's connected to an intake line that pulls air from outside, and that air is sucked into this instrument and it gets readings every minute. So we have a couple instruments that do that. This measures ozone. And we have this right here, which measures NO2, which also comes from cars. That data is then sent to this computer and we get thousands of readings. And they send it back to the office so I can look at it and like actually figure out what's going on. And we even have some things on the roof too. If we come to the side, I can kind of show you. So I know I told you that air is being sucked in. What's actually being sucked in?
Wait, hold on. Okay. Just so we can hear you.
Yeah, so it's actually being sucked in through one of these lines right there, and it's pulling it in very, very constantly, and then that's how you're able to measure it. So, yeah.
Wow. So it's a whole process. There's a lot of machinery here and a lot of engineering and technology that goes into this too. So in case you're thinking that environmental work it just involves trees or water, there's a lot of ways that engineering and technology play a part. So all the STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and math can really help us analyze, to learn more about the environment, and to engineer some solutions when we recognize that we maybe need to make some changes to what we as humans are doing that are impacting the environment.
Yes.
All right. So if you all are still with us, the screen went dark on your end. Oh yeah, you're still there. Okay, good.
We're here. We have you on a projector, so it's easier to see you if the lights are out. Sorry.
Oh, great. No, that's good. I wanted to make sure you were still with us. All right. So we would love to hear if there are any questions from any of the students over at Beacon House. And come right up to the front and talk nice and loud so we can hear you.
So I was going to ask you, what is the worstest place of bad air quality?
That's a great question.
Have a seat.
That's an awesome question. So I would say some of the worst places of bad air quality we're still trying to figure out. But what I tend to notice is places that are really close to factories or where they're near highways where you have a bunch of cars running all day, every day. Those are some of the worst places for air quality because a lot of that stuff that's coming from the car, it's really harmful to us.
Yeah, good question. Who else has a question or something they want to ask Kane about?
How do you make the air so bad?
You said, how do we make the air so bad? Another awesome question. So unfortunately,
Don't sit
people
down.
contribute to poor air quality. So whether it be like, putting new buildings up, whether it be like, just constantly driving cars or like, just other man-made things. That's unfortunately, we contribute to that.
So he said putting houses up and doing other things with construction. Okay. Come on up, get close so he can see you.
How do you study air quality?
That's a great question. So I can think of like a million answers for that, but ways I study air quality is through the readings we collect at these instruments right there. I get thousands of them. They get sent to my computer, and then I'm able to run them through some graphs and some programs, and I'm able to see what exactly is going on. So I look at 10 or 20 years worth of data to figure out what exactly is happening in DC.
That's a lot of data, 10 or 20 years worth. That's
Thank
wow.
you.
No problem.
Okay.
Why do you study air quality?
That's another great question. I study air quality because I want to make sure that people like me and people like you have clean air to breathe.
Thanks. I know I appreciate that. The work Kane is doing directly makes my health better. So I appreciate it.
My question is, what is the air quality about of the building and the question?
You want to know? Maybe let's ask about DC.
What is the air about? Air is about is big
In DC.
in DCE.
You know,
That
awesome.
is good.
Okay, awesome question. So I think the question was, what is the air quality like in DC? Now, I will say the air quality in DC is improving, but we have not done enough. We notice a lot of differences in the air quality in where people who are Black and brown live at, as opposed to, you know, maybe their white counterparts. So one of the things that I try to do is figure out what these discrepancies or like these differences are in air quality at a neighborhood level. So basically, it's getting better, but more has to be done.
Yes. Yeah, and this is something, so as Kane was just talking about, even though people experience the impacts of air quality different, everyone can be part of the solution. So
Yes.
Kane, what are some things that everyone can do, no matter where in DC you live, that might help make some better air quality?
That's a great question. So I would think, you know, save energy by like, you know, something as simple as turning off the lights. When your mom, dad, aunt, or uncle is picking you up from school, maybe they could turn off their car while they're waiting for you. Use public transportation. I encourage people to walk when they can, or maybe even bike.
Yeah. All right. These all seem like very doable actions that we can all take. All right. Who else has a question? Oh yeah, I see someone.
How does the air get bad?
How does the air get
Somebody
better?
already asked that question,
Huh?
friend. Somebody
How
already
does
asked
an
that
air-
question. We'll fill her in on that one. You've answered that question. Let me see if there's a new question for the group.
Unless there was anything you wanted to expand on it too.
Go ahead, KJ.
My question is, how much do you guys work a day?
How much do we work a day? That's a great question. So it really depends on each day. I would say I put in about 10 hours only because I really care and I really like the work that I do. So time just really flies by.
Thank you. I think we have two more questions for you.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Do birds carry bacteria in the sky, and does it make the sky bad?
Can I tag on to that question? So we had a thought that maybe in 2020 the air quality was worse because of coronavirus. So I think this question is kind of related to that, of around like bacteria or viruses. And you're asking specifically about, do birds make the air quality worse?
Yes.
Do birds make the air quality worse? So I would say to that question, which I don't mind saying, I don't know. But that's something I wouldn't mind finding out. To answer the first part of that question, what was air quality like during 2020 with the coronavirus? We actually looked at some of the numbers that we collected from the instruments on like a year basis. And we found that for many of the pollutants, air quality actually improved because there weren't as many cars on the road and a lot of people were kind of stuck at the house. So we noticed that from 2019 to 2020, there was a big drop in pollution, but as soon as 2021 came back, it went back up again.
Yeah, that's good to be thinking about. I hear you making connections too in health and sort of the health of our family members, community members, between sort of the pandemic and air quality. It makes me think of too, how air quality might be something that we don't think about every day unless you maybe already have difficulty breathing or a health condition that makes that, you know, good quality air even more important to your health. And
Right.
so we can all be looking out for those most vulnerable members of our communities by making sure that we keep our air quality good and healthy.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm just surveying the room to see if we have any other questions. Miss Marita, you have one? Does any other kids have a question?
I have just one more.
Okay, so we have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
Make it a good one, Larry, because this is
Okay.
your second question. Okay.
I have another question.
How do you guys make the air quality better?
That's an awesome question. So it all starts with what we do here. So we're able to figure out what exactly is in the air. And then once we know what's in the air, we work along with some of my coworkers and some of my friends at DOEE, and we come up with rules and regulations to tighten up on air pollution. So basically we say, hey, we need you to cut down on the amount of cars that are on the road, or hey, we need you to apply for a permit before you put a building up there. That way we can limit how much construction or how much pollution is being put off by some of these companies.
Yeah. Good question.
Thank you. We have one more question. Miss Marita.
Sure. Thank
And-
you guys so much. And yes, as an adult that's asking the question, but out of curiosity, what does the 4th of July do to the air quality? Is there an impact when we do what we do on the 4th of July throughout the country?
That's a great question, Miss Marita. I actually did a video about that. So one thing that I've noticed based on about 10 to 20 years worth of data, we noticed that because of the fireworks, we see more particulate matter being let off on the 4th of July and the day after, which being July 5th. You know, fireworks are really great. They're really pretty to see, but unfortunately, they can release a lot of pollution. And that's a lot of pollution at the ground level that we're breathing in. So we encourage folks, if they are going to participate in the fireworks display, be mindful about how long you are outside and close your windows to limit your exposure to it.
That's good thinking. And if you want to learn more about that connection between the 4th of July and air quality and see that video that Kane was just talking about, there's a link to that in the activity packet that goes along with this session. So you could watch that also and learn more.
We just ran out of time before the call to be able to watch it, but we'll definitely check it out. Thank you so much.
There you go. Yeah, and if you're thinking that, you know, this is something you want to do, you want to learn more about, you want to follow in Kane's footsteps and work with air quality monitoring yourself, there's more information in that activity packet to learn more about the work that Kane does and ways that you could also become an air quality monitor or an environmental protection specialist.
I see a bunch of awesome students. I'm really excited about the work that they're going to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much to the both of you for taking the time to meet with us today. Larry, stop.
Okay.
Thank you for meeting with us. It's been really cool to get to know about the different careers in environmental field. And Mr. Samuel, we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us.
You are nice guys.
Such good questions. That was great.
Thank you, Larry.
I learned a lot just from the questions you were asking.
and thanks for representing Howard. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
yeah.
How did you figure
Hey,
out my name?
Just know that was intentional. Like, you know, we need to more of our
How did you figure
young
out my
bright
name?
minds.
We love it. We love it. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon.
How did you figure out my name?
Bye.
See y'all. Bye.